Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another daily check-in. Today, walk and talk edition, meaning I'm doing two things at once. I'm walking and I'm talking to you, something my wife believes I cannot do. So here I am, watch me. In all seriousness, I wanted to share today that there's a new episode of the Freestyle Way Podcast live featuring my friend and mentor, Tom Reid, specifically featuring the keynote talk that he gave at the Freestyle Insider in October of 2019. Now, if you know nothing about Tom, this is a great introduction to him and his work. So if you have 36 minutes, go to the link here in the description and take a listen. It's full of great information, specifically around the topic of communication. Now, Tom is someone who is obsessed about becoming a better communicator, and his obsession has rubbed off on me. And one of the things that he has taught me over the years is that when people communicate, they're doing one of three things. They're either sharing information, like I am sharing right now with you. They are requesting information, meaning asking for information. Or number three, they are having or creating a call to action. They are seeking to elicit movement, motion. And when we become aware of these three types or forms of communication, or intentions rather, behind our communication, all of a sudden we begin to understand each other a little bit more. And when we understand each other a little bit more, we start moving towards each other. And when we can move towards each other, really great stuff starts to happen. And I want to give you a little example of this. When Tanya and I first started to work together, now not as a couple or parents or in our marriage, but work together in business, it became very clear that we had to improve our communication. And we noticed that we needed to improve because there were times where there was friction between us. For example, if Tanya was on her computer and I stormed into the office or the room and started asking her questions, she would immediately get annoyed or frustrated with me or give me an answer I wasn't satisfied with. So what we learned from Tom was that if we can simply learn how to preface what it is that our intention may be at that point in time when we're communicating, all of a sudden the person we're communicating with can better understand our intentions and now know how to respond rather than becoming reactive. So what we started doing, which was a little robotic, was prefacing what we wanted to communicate. Let me give you an example of this. If I had something I wanted to brainstorm with Tanya, if I were to bust into the room, I would say, Tanya, permission to brainstorm. And she could say yes or no. If she said yes, I would brainstorm for a little bit. If she said no, I would ask her, okay, when can we make this happen? And she would potentially say something like, tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. Very specific communication. Even though she said no to me in that moment, I now know when we can brainstorm, and all of a sudden we are on the same page. The same thing would happen if I wanted to ask her for information. I would say, hey, Tanya, permission to request information. And she would say, yes, go ahead. I could ask the question, she could share her answer, and then boom, we're off to the races. By practicing this, whether it seems a little robotic or not, what ends up happening is that we get on the same page, we are in alignment. And now instead of having a reactive relationship, we have a very responsive relationship, a relationship that actually goes both ways. And through communication and practicing communication, and especially through TASK, which is Tom Reid's framework for communication, Tanya and I have learned this, and although we have to practice it on a daily basis, and we're far from great at it, it has made our lives that much better. So I highly encourage you to take a listen to the podcast, and if you don't have time today, no big deal. Maybe just by listening to this, you got some ideas on how you can improve on your communication and maybe take your relationships to the next level. So that's my check-in for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for being with me. And look, I did it. I walked and I talked. All right, my friends, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope everyone's well and kicking ass in a good way, in a nice way, peaceful way. Peace.